when we look at our data, the fastest growing segment are the millennials, and they're coming on and they are booking flights, and they don't agree with the broker model. You submit a form, you wait for a call back, you probably don't even get it, in many cases, I should say.
Hello and welcome to the Jet Life Podcast. My name is Tom Lelyo and I'm your ultimate jet guide. On today's episode, we're going to be speaking with Justin Crabbe from the Jetly app, which is basically like the Airbnb for private charters. If you're looking to try private aviation and you're looking for a private jet to take on your next trip, look no further than downloading the Jetly app or going to the Jetly app online. They have a database of hundreds of charter operators and thousands of flights that are available to you with all the information you need to make a decision at your fingertips. So check out this interview. So tell me a little about, where did this come from? I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think many have tried, many have failed, but since 2016, it sounds like you found a little bit of a winning formula.
Yeah. I mean, taking a step back before 2016, looking at the old broker model, you would contact a broker, hopefully get a call back. It may take an hour, maybe even 2 or 3 days, or you may have to contact the local airport and try to find an air operator at that airport. Chances are that person that's supposed to be picking up the phone is flying the plane. They're fairly, there's no Expedia for this type of industry in the private sector, rather. And I'm a pilot, commercially rated, and put everything together with the entrepreneurship and developed a platform where we essentially aggregate all of the aircraft that are available for charter worldwide to one central system that functions and supports the operator as well as the passenger, as you would expect to fly a commercial flight through booking on Expedia.com.
When it comes to booking a charter flight, you don't know what you don't know. What Jetly does is it allows you to get access to information at your fingertips when you're ready for that information. So before you buy a jet, before you fly charter, using the Jetly app, you can find out what the average price is from different operators using different machines, going different destinations. You can plot that all out so that you have in your head about what this trip is going to run. And then from there, Jetly will connect you with these operators and help you navigate your next trip.
The usability of our platform in particular is a significant benefit. You're no longer having to wait for quotes and calls back from brokers, and there's a significant time delay in the older model. That was COVID was amplified the entire industry in general with respect to all the flight cancellations and just fear of the virus and things. And so there was a significant migration to our platform during that period. And it only put more eyeballs onto our platform, and more people saw the viability in something like this and the benefit. It really is beneficial for people, especially in 2023. When we look at our data, looking at the passports and IDs that are submitted, the fastest growing segment are the millennials, and they're coming on and they are booking flights, and they don't agree with the broker model. You submit a form, you wait for a call back, you probably don't even get it. In many cases, I should say, and this isn't, there's great brokers out there that really do work. So, right. But sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you're not with an experienced broker, I should say. Platform makes it all open. 100%. Right, and platform makes it all open and available to everybody to search the database as if they were the broker themselves.
I appreciate you checking out this video. Before I continue, I want you to go to theultimatejetguide.com, where I've put together a full guide for jet buyers like yourself. I really appreciate what you're doing, because I also appreciate technology. When I want to go find out information before I talk to a broker or before I talk to a professional, I like to do a little bit of homework myself. So I'm not coming out to the car dealership or the yacht dealership one day and just being like that, Explain to me, because I also don't want to waste somebody else's time, and not that you are, but some brokers don't handle that very well, and so you're kind of you're guilty as a tire kicker until you prove yourself, to the broker that you're worthy of his time. And I agree, as a millennial slash Gen Z person, I don't fit that model. If you're going to come to me, I'm going to give you the time of day that I think you deserve, and let's figure it out together. Now, I'm curious, how many trips have been booked on the platform?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, we process around 40,000 requested flights each month. I couldn't tell you how many of those result in bookings. It does fluctuate throughout the year, but hundreds each month become bookings out of those requested flights. A lot of the time people are coming on, you have to take a step back. They could be an executive assistant that's just researching on behalf of their boss. They may come on, search a flight, request a flight, obtain a set of options, get an idea, but then the meeting changes or the CEO no longer needs to fly, things like that. So, there's a large margin between the amount of requests that a broker or a platform will get, or a search platform like Airbnb, for example, versus the bookings.
Private aviation is a big world, and so you have to ask yourself, well, is Jetly really just a charter broker, or are they an operator? Are they like Wheels Up? Is this a fractional ownership kind of a deal? Justin explains how they fit into the industry, and one of the interesting parts is when you're using Jetly as a third party, it opens up opportunities for empty legs and savings because you're not tied to a specific operator. I imagine you have a couple of competitors, or people will try to compare you to Wheels Up, NetJets, and then basically operators themselves and charter brokers. How do you fit into the market?
We touched a little bit on the broker model and the nuances with working with that. We fit in between first-class commercial and the NetJets of the world. We don't really compete with NetJets in a sense. That clientele is different. They have substantial flight needs throughout the year. An existing aircraft owner, for example, when their aircraft is in annual inspection or otherwise down for maintenance, that's a really good customer for us. They could use Jetly and the network as supplemental lift, maybe a smaller aircraft or something that's going to get into a smaller, shorter strip that's not sufficient for their larger aircraft. We see that quite often. Like I said, first-class commercial travelers, very easy to ascend them up to private travel, without the expense of getting into a program such as NetJets, where you're purchasing a 16th of an aircraft. It could be millions of dollars down up front and hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. Where they're more geared to customers and travelers that are flying 100 hours plus per year. We fit nicely between 10 and 75 hours is our sweet spot. So people can come on demand, book a flight, not pay any brokerage fees. You pay a small booking fee or a membership fee depending on the type of traveler that you are. But that really is the main difference between us and brokers. On the operator side, customers can surely go to the operators directly. You may have to call 5 different operators at one airport and hope that you can find an aircraft that's available. The other side of the coin is Jetly's network. We tap into the scheduling systems of the operators. We know where their aircraft are coming to. And if you're flying out of, New York, Teterboro, for example, on July 11, and there's an aircraft that happens to be flying in on July 11, that could be a really great opportunity for the customer to capture a great deal. Where they would be normally flying that aircraft back to its base as an empty leg.
I always tell people where charter makes the most amount of sense is if you're flying less than 100 hours a year. And so Jetly has created tier programs to help you, whether you're flying 5 hours a year up to 50 or 100 hours a year. There's a way to make it as cost effective as possible, as Justin explains.
Three programs typically, and it really is based on the amount of travel that people are flying or typically needing, rather, throughout the year. We have no membership option. You simply come on, you book a flight, there's a 10% booking fee on that flight, and you're on your way. People that are moving, maybe they have a whole boatload of equipment or something like that. They're moving across the state. They just need one flight. They're not going to need it anymore. They put all of their gear and their stuff on board, and they make the flight. 10% is charged to the customer. The rest of the flight revenue is diverted directly to the operator through their payout through Jetly. The other option is a flight-based membership, where you're flying based on your flight needs throughout the year. You're purchasing access to the network for one flight per month, and up to 36 flights per year, rather, under the business program. That gets you access to the network. It's going to get you a member price. It's going to get you limited benefits between that and the Jet Card program, which is the third program, which is the really big differentiator. You simply come on and you book, you arrange a membership that's based on a block hour purchase. If you're flying 50 hours this year, you can purchase a block of 50 hours. That allows you to fly 50 hours of flight time through Jetly's network. The main difference with that program and the other two is there's fixed hourly rates. You're only billed point to point, so there's no positioning fee is what it's called. And for people that don't understand what the positioning fee is, it's, if an aircraft is requested from Teterboro to South Florida, but the aircraft is not available in Teterboro, we would have to fly one from Chicago, pick up the customer in Teterboro, fly them down to South Florida, and the flight time from Chicago to Teterboro is going to be charged to the customer, really driving up unpredictable costs. And so one of the biggest benefits of the block hour purchase and block hour membership is predictable billing, point-to-point billing at a fixed, reduced hourly rate. You get onboard catering, it's complimentary, an executive car that takes you to and from the airport on both ends of the trip under this type of program. That's the highest tier that we offer currently, which is more in line with a Jet Card program.
How many of your trips or how many of your members are returning members, or when they book, do they end up, kind of booking with the operators directly, or do they like the platform and they stick with the platform?
When you work with the operator directly, you're not going to capture anything else but the operator's fleet. So, chances are it's going to be booked out, and you may not benefit from knowing the flight patterns of other aircraft in the area. For example, I touched on it earlier. If you're flying an aircraft in on July 11, if you contact the local operators at that one airport, you're not going to know about other aircraft that are available that may be flying in, that could be offering a discounted empty leg or something else that you could take, such as a floating fleet operator, where aircraft are constantly revolving around the United States and picking people up and dropping people off, and essentially on shift work for 5 to 7 days at a time, for the crew at least. Great advantages to that. The price point is substantially less. They're just generally billed as one-way flights, and it's a great way to travel.
Next, we actually get into the app itself online, and I basically set up a trip where I'm going to go from Sarasota to North Carolina. My kid's got a soccer game coming up in a couple of weeks, and so we're going to see how the Jetly platform performs when looking to book a trip. All right, here we are on the Jetly website. Love the website, by the way. I love, you guys have been featured all over the place. Great introductory video for anyone who's looking, and I love this, that you do everything from the helicopters, even the pistons. So coming in here, this is going to search a huge database of operators and their schedules as well.
Yes, some of the operators have uploaded their schedules. Some of them don't upload their schedules just yet. Different jurisdictions, operators operate entirely different. So what you see here is available aircraft within the area, within our database. They may still not be available on your specific date of travel until you submit a booking request to that operator. At that point, they check their schedule, they make sure they've got it available, and they either accept or decline the trip in the same fashion that Airbnb operates, in some ways, when you're not using the instant booking features that Airbnb has.
Okay, so if I'm going into this Lear 75, this is going to cost me $15,000 to go to my son's soccer camp. And This is what I like this. Okay, the itinerary, that's what we would book. And then we find out more about the operator, which is good. Their policies, payments. Okay, and then the book now is going to take us to a page that's going to, like you said, it's like Airbnb. We're kind of getting some of the details out here, and it's going to send it to the actual operator themselves.
That's right. That's correct. And it's fairly transparent to people what they're doing here. You're going to submit a booking request, and the operator has the opportunity to accept or decline. And on top of this, we're layering a team of agents on that will work with the operator and the customer in the event that this particular aircraft is not available. So our team starts to really engage at this point and will provide other options that are suitable to this customer in the event that this particular aircraft is not available.
My next step would be I would get a contact from the operator or from Jetly.
You would get it through Jetly. The operator would be able to log on and message the customer directly. Our team would also engage with that. It really depends on the jurisdiction, how much support the customer wants. You know, a lot of customers, they simply want things that are done for them, and we're happy to support them in that way. And facilitate it between the operator and the traveler. We really work both sides of the spectrum. Operators are just as important to us as the passenger is, and we're really trying to marry the two together in an open marketplace.
I think everybody involved in private aviation should be utilizing the platform to get involved, because a lot of times people will call me and they're like, I'm thinking about buying a jet, whatever. And the first things I always tell them is, have you flown private? And a good handful of them will say no. I'm like, okay, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to charter a flight, because right. you cannot make sense of this purchase just on paper, just on like your dream book, and especially not on your P&L. Like, this thing is not going to make any sense whatsoever to you or to your accountant. You need to experience it first and understand that you're buying into an experience, a lifestyle, something that goes beyond just, I just paid $15,000 to go to my son's soccer camp.
Correct.
I get to bring my family. I get to bring my dogs. I get to leave whenever I want. I get to come home whenever I want. I get to be dropped off exactly where I need to go, not have to fly into another airport that's an hour or 2 hours away from my actual destination. And the experience of spending that quality time in flight is not just getting there, it's the quality of time you're spending getting there with the people that you're with. Well, honestly, I can make a case in my own head and my own heart to spend $15,000 one way to be with my family, for that travel, for that experience. What are some of the challenges that Jetly has seen? I think one thing that people will say to me is, are there enough people? People say this to me all the time. Are there enough people who can afford to buy a private jet? And I'm like, yeah, they're out there. But is there a limitation, do you think, in the private aviation world for something like this, where Expedia can obviously blow up to everybody? Mm-hmm. Is that one of the obstacles that you guys have to face, or what are some of the obstacles?
The number one obstacle, and I don't have an answer for it. I don't think it's really possible to have an answer for it. When you go on Expedia, the flight schedules for that aircraft, right down to the registration number, are probably set a year in advance. With private aviation, there's so many moving parts. The biggest hurdle is really instant book ability of these aircraft. When you're dealing with a 2-person crew for an aircraft and it's December 24 and people want to fly out December 25th, that crew may be with their family. The aircraft may be an annual or under maintenance. Somebody that booked the aircraft a week ago may change their meeting date, and therefore it changes the schedule for the aircraft that you were trying to book, and the price changes as a result under some of our programs. Other programs we fix the price, but the price can change almost on a day-to-day basis. So the biggest challenge is really going to be the instant book ability of these aircraft. I don't know if we'll ever get to the point, because there's a finite number of aircraft and they're always revolving around the world, and our typical booking comes in 72 hours or less before the flight, that we'll ever have true instant booking of these aircraft. In other words, when you log on, you see something that's available, you click book, you get a ticket or an itinerary, and that is confirmed 100%. I see a lot of variability in the industry, and that's the biggest challenge, I think, to everybody.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share about the platform, about future plans and where things are heading, or how people can get in contact with you as well?
If anybody wants to get in contact, they're happy to browse the platform at jetly.com. We also have a great mobile app that features the same feature set, and it's constantly being revamped and more features added. But we're really, we're really optimistic that this is the way of the future, and in terms of the browsability and searchability of the private aviation market, and trying our best to make it as open to people as Expedia has delivered to the commercial sector.
Again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I greatly appreciate all your time and look forward to getting a little bit more experience and into the app, because I really do love apps, and I also really appreciate, like I said, what it's doing to pull back the curtain on private aviation.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.